So in this channel, besides language learning and English learning tips, I also want to start giving out communication tips because language and communication, they're kind of like tied together. If you have the language skills, but you do not have the communication skills, what's the point? So one of the keys to being a good communicator is to have good listening skills. So listening is a core skill not only in language learning, but also in life. So before I give you tips about how to be a good listener, I want to tell you briefly about why it's important to be a good listener. Number one, there's a scarcity of good listeners out there. It's quite a rarity these days to find people who really listen to you, to understand. A lot of people, when they listen, they just seem to want you to finish so that they can respond back. Or maybe I'm just surrounded by the wrong people, I don't know, but please do share with me your experience. Do you think you find a lot of people around you who listen well? Comment down below. So having good listening skills is also important to build relationships. So if you want to build good relationships with people, it starts with your ability to listen well. Being a good listener makes people feel understood, feel heard, feel respected. Because it shows that you care enough about what the other person said that you would give your time and your attention to listen to what they have to say. So it makes them feel valued. And the last benefit that I would like to bring up is that good listening skills could eventually lead to success. So this is kind of related to the point that I just said before. So in order for you to be successful in your career, it's important to have good relationships with people, to have good connections, to have good support system. And that starts from being a good listener. Because when you listen very well, you are deemed to be trustworthy. People feel respected, as I said before. People feel valued. People trust you a lot more. And that can eventually open a lot of doors for you. Especially for those of you guys who have a career in sales, you probably understand the value of listening to your ideal clients well, to be able to understand what their problems are, so it's easier for you to sell them your products or your services. In sales, one of the most important skills for you to be able to close a sale is your ability to listen well. If the prospect truly feels heard and understood about his or her problem, the chances of them buying your products or services would be much, much higher. So yeah, that's one example how listening skills could truly help you in your career. And that's 3 of the many reasons why you should have or why you should build your listening skills. And also, do I need to mention it again? Like having good listening skills can also really help you a lot in your language skills, because then, as I've said so many times before, listening skills is like the first phase of getting input, and actually listening is a much better way to get input than reading, because with listening you can get used to the language and the rhythm and all of that, and that is of course an important thing to have when you're learning a new language. Now let's get into the how-to. So how can you listen better? So the first thing to do is that when you are in a conversation with someone and you are going to listen to them, the first important thing to have is to have the intention of listening to understand instead of listening to respond back. So I experience it a lot in my daily life. A lot of the times when I try to tell someone a story or complaints about like a difficult time that I've been going through, I can really feel it when someone really tries to impose their views and their ideas on me, or if someone is truly trying to understand where I'm coming from or how I feel. So when someone is telling you a story or they're trying to vent about their bad day or something like that, instead of thinking, what am I going to reply to this? Truly listen to their stories, truly hear them, and try to put yourself in their shoes and try to understand where they're coming from or what they're going through, because that really makes them feel heard and understood. And a lot of the times people just need someone who can listen to them. So again, listen to understand, not to respond. Number 2, give your full attention to them. So by giving your full attention means that you have your mind on them, your eyes on them, and your body language should also know that. So when you're listening to them, have your attention at them. Also, your body language should show that as well. If you are talking to someone but then your eyes are wandering around, or you're just kind of like moving your body from right to left or whatever, or you're just kind of like really have this kind of bored body language and you're not really looking at them, it shows that you're not truly interested and it shows that you're bored. and people can feel that. So giving someone your full attention means that at the moment where the interaction happens, you only focus on them, not other things. Basically, you want to be present. Number 3, reiterate what they say. So reiterating what people say makes them feel validated, heard, and understood. So when somebody reiterates what I said and kind of like paraphrase it in a way that they understand, it kind of makes me feel that, wow, they're really trying to understand where I'm coming from. I truly felt heard. So how do you reiterate things? So it doesn't mean that you have to repeat exactly the words that they said to you, but kind of like paraphrase it in a way that you understand. For instance, let's say a friend comes to you and then she complains about how her boss is treating her at work. Let's say she says something like, oh my god, my boss today was really treating me like crap again. I wasn't even allowed to have lunch, and she really made me feel bad about leaving early even though I already told her before that, blah blah blah. And when you reiterate that story, it could sound something like this. Oh my god, that's so annoying. You've already asked her in advance. The least that she can do is to let you go without making you feel guilty. That's just so blah. So kind of like paraphrasing, reiterating her story your own way makes them feel that, yeah, I heard your story, I listened to it, it sucks. I understand how it is to be you. Number 4 is to show empathy. So showing empathy could be very easy. You know, you can say some things like, my god, I can only imagine. Wow, that sucks. So showing empathy means that you react in a way that is similar to how they are reacting. So for instance, if they're complaining about their boss, that was so annoying, you could also react in a way that is similar to them. You want to mirror their reactions. Like, yeah, that is really annoying. Man, that sucks. Man, if I were you, I would be annoyed too. You know, if you want to be a good listener, try not to be a smartass and tell them the opposite of what they want to hear. And of course, sometimes giving someone advice that they may not want to hear is very important, but you might want to ask consent to give advice before you actually give them, because nobody appreciates unsolicited advice. However, there's another time and place for that. At the moment when they're just ranting, most of the time they're just looking for someone to listen to them. And when they're just there to rant, don't give them advice. So if you want to give advice, wait until they're finished with their story, until they're calmed down, and then ask them, are you open for some perspective? Do you think you're open to listening for some advice? If they say no, then don't say it. But if they do say that they're open, they could hear it, they have the mental capacity to hear your advice, then go for it. But if you do not get the consent from them to give advice, then don't do that. So I think that's an important component in order to be a good listener. So that is it, guys, for this video. Thank you so much for listening and for tuning in. I will see you next week in another video. Until then, you take care and bye-bye.